little bit of a backstory is what I'm going to give. So it's very cold in here for a reason. Look, I don't know if you can see it.
No.
I can see it though.
Yeah, yeah.
This whole thing here in these houses is crazy. Did you want to pause it, go outside, just take a quick video of the gas down below and the electric box on the wall opposite this wall? Yeah, the gas and the just quick down, quick up. Is that all right?
Yeah.
So you saw that out there where you've got the gas down?
Yeah.
And then you've got the electric box on the wall.
Yeah.
And this one's on the opposite side of the wall. This wall is very cold. There's air coming through here. And when the heating's on, because this is so cold, it sweats. Hence the discoloration. And we usually turn off the trips. If you do that, you're going to get electrocuted. I mean, even more than a defibrillator will give you. I think it's up to 400 volts. Now, that's not the problem, really. It is, because this is a safety hazard. And it's because it's got a whopping great big hole in the wall behind it. Also, we're very itchy, but we've figured out why that is. This sweats. Now, that's an electrocution risk at the end of the day, whichever way you want to put that. Next, if there is a gas leak in that part at the back there, now this is fascinating. We put some smelly outside. And again, it's out on the street. Kids play around and jump on these things and are on the doorstep. You know, kids are kids. They don't understand things are dangerous in that regard. Or if a car hits into here, it's unprotected, it's unshielded. If there's any gas leak from there and no one wants to admit or realize that they've done anything, that gas will be sucked up in the draft because this is sucking in air. There's loads of air pouring out of here. I'll show you why that is in a bit. There's tons. And what's more, you can smell the smell from outside. Now, when testing safety and different things like that, you have gas above electric. These are never meant to really cross. And anyway, they should really be out of the way somewhere. Perhaps not out on the front. Again, it's safeguarded. If that breaks, ruptures, or does anything, and there again, you know, if you call up certain companies about it, that the meter's not working correctly, they don't really care. But yet you've got to have everything inside your house all checked. There's a very incredible bad smell coming through here as well. Until we went and put some smellies out there. And it's amazing how you can smell that in the house. And it's coming from here. I mean, you know, you can't smell it, but it does sweat. This condensates, and that's because it's a bit like a window. There was a wall that had I lived in a property once where there was quite a tear in the brickwork. And where that had teared, that part of the wall on the inside, when the heating went on, if the windows condensated, so did this area of the wall. And it's a bit like taking a cold can out, and the hotter the room, you get that condensation build up because it zaps the air molecules and condensates to the outside of the can because of how cold it is. The same will happen with this and a window plus the wall. That's why it never gets warm in here. That's why we don't have the heating on. We haven't used the gas. And there you are. That's quite a safety hazard, really. Think about that. If you've got gas trickling, and there's no gas alarm, there's a bad smell. That's about it. And you've got an extractor fan on or whatever else, and you've got the draft coming in. This is bellowing through here. Right below that is gas into your house. And that potentially, A, can cause a big explosion, especially if you go and light something up in the house. Or B, it'll kill everybody in the house. Gas exposure. Well, fuck me. Hitler would be impressed, I must admit. So, yeah, that's a kind of a weird thing, really, to be honest. Just an observation that I've noticed. So, again, where's all this safety then? Where are all these regulations? If I saw this on a building site, after going around and seeing the house being built, I would say get that changed, or you don't sell it, or you don't rent it. It's as simple as that. See, these are the things I look out for, of the what ifs. And then it makes me wonder, this has never happened. This has never happened before. This is never, no one's ever come across this situation before. This has just not happened. I don't know if you can see all the little bits flying around the house. Because inside this wall there is insulation, fiberglass. It's very itchy. There's just one gone there. And everybody in here is itching. We're all itching, mainly in the hair. Very itchy. Well, that's because the fiberglass, although it's there, it's nice, wonderful stuff, but double-edged sword, unlike most things. When the draft comes in, it whips its way up, and it releases tiny little fiberglass particles that are everywhere. Now, I've already tested this and done this very thoroughly, and it gets on your clothes, it gets on your towels. We can go up there and we can go and have a look at this one. You can pause it, you don't have to. So, apart from the massive tear in the kitchen, I could show you that. It's about this big, and it's just got a piece of wood covering it. It's the fiberglass that's coming. It's coating a lot of things. There's other places that it is. Like these radiators were completely chocker full. And again, it's dangerous if you've got respiratory issues. There's a problem. You see all these little particles. They might appear as orbs on the video. Anytime you have the extractor fan on, it's sucking air in. Okay, some of it's coming through the windows, but a lot of it's coming from other places. Let me show you something. I got to sort it out, but you see all of this down here. Now, the more you clean it up, the more it comes back, and it also branches across here. But when you have a look at it, underneath a microscope, it's fiberglass particles, and also the ones that are in the air. When you use a net curtain and a fan, it grabs all of these particles, and then you can look at these in a microscope to find out what they are. Secondly is, it gets trapped in your hair, and more gets caught up in your hair. You'll be surprised. And it becomes very itchy. It's fiberglass. And then respiratory issues and nose issues. This comes from things like this. Like, have a go with this. That's like the most mundanest little hole ever, right? But it's the air that's coming through here. It's incredible. All of these particles in here, these are fiberglass. These are little tiny pieces of fiberglass, which is often renowned as insulation. And I don't know if you can see it, it orbs. It creates lots of orbs. Now, it's in the bedrooms, it's in a lot of places. There should be a cap over this. There is lots of it. And you might say, well, it's just dust. No, it's not just dust. There is insulation inside this wall. Yeah, there's another piece there. It's the smaller parts that do it. Here, look, on the back here as well, look. That's fiberglass, not dust. That's fiberglass. And if you can see all those little bits scatting off every now and then, that's because of this. This is incredibly bad for people who have asthma and who are sensitive to it. This gets airborne. And if you find that you've got an itchy scalp and a doctor's calling it psoriasis, it isn't psoriasis, it's fiberglass. Look for holes in your house, and they are everywhere. It's little tiny pieces of this, because when the draft, there's a hell of a lot of air coming through here. I wish I'd have brought the smoke, and I'll show you with using some smoke here. This air is really wafting out of this hole, and it's quite big. There's a bigger one in other places, but they're all hidden behind certain objects. Another piece here, look. The stronger the draft you have, so if you've got an extractor fan on, this is all whooshing out of here. Now, again, not all of it on the camera is being picked up, but I can see lots of little particles in there, and I want to collect them. It's incredibly itchy, especially for kids. You're so sensitive to it. I've already cleaned this multiple times. I just wanted to see how long it took. So I'm going to block this. I'm going to block this completely off. And I think it should have been done. Again, if I was an inspector, I would come around and look at this stuff. The other one downstairs has a triangle on it. Man, the air coming through there. The cold air is incredible. And there's a bit of a stench through that as well. It doesn't smell great. And no matter how many times you clean this, it's dusty very quickly. Now, it shouldn't be that dusty in here. There's not much in here. And you'll say, well, it's a bathroom, it's this, it's that. No, it's poor. This is very poor. And again, you think some of the most mundane stuff, right? You won't think that those little particles in there, that fiberglass is just whizzing through continuously. And because it's getting into the air stream, it's amazing. If you could see the way air flows, you would understand this process. Now, this radiator is worse for wear. It's kind of rusted out in there as well, and at the bottom too. So for now, I'm going to pop it back on here. I wouldn't recommend you do it unless you know what you're doing. I've done a lot of things like this before. I have to go and find the faults in property because, you know, if you've got respiratory issues, asthma, if you've got psoriasis, go around your house and look for holes in the walls. And when you find it, what I will give you another tip is feel your radiators when they're off. If they're freezing cold to touch, then constant cold air is hitting it. And as it keeps hitting it, it will make the radiator feel ice cold. Radiators, if there's no heating source on, you're not using these and you're using a different way, this should warm. Should go room temperature. It shouldn't be painfully cold to touch. These areas will give you a good indication. And if you put your hand around it or wet your hand, you will feel the air come through. If you've got respiratory issues or you've got psoriasis, especially in the head, lots of flaky skin, don't go by your head and shoulders and all the rest of that crap. Maybe go see your doctor. I'm not giving you any medical advice. And if they give you some serums, that's probably going to help. But if you keep getting dry skin on your head or over your body, you need to start looking for holes in the property and go and look. If you cover these and it goes away, it's because you were clogging up with fiberglass. The problem is with this stuff, it's incredibly itchy. It only takes a little bit on your skin before you're scrabbing quite a bit. And again, you should really cover these holes because the air that's coming through here is damp. If it's raining outside and it's been misty outside, that air is coming in from somewhere and it is damp. And it's quite thick air, to be honest. So you'll notice it, your house will be absolutely baking hot in the summer. And that's, you've got holes. And if it's freezing cold in the winter, you've got inlets. And these inlets are not great. These are not great. So it seems like quite a small hole, but that's quite big for me. I would say that's pretty big. There are a few others that we've got to get sorted, but they're all in the bedrooms, and you notice that. All behind the bedroom radiators, there are massive holes. Some of these are not even on the wall correctly anyway. The one downstairs, the screws you can pull out. If a kid was putting their shoes on near that full radiator, because I mean, this is quite heavy considering it's small. It's filled with water. If a kid's putting their shoes on and lean up against that radiator down there, and it falls on them because it's not secured on the wall, that could kill them. They'll seriously do some serious damage. And, you know, if this is association that this is how you do things, you know, who's checking you? Who's going around after you and saying, yeah, that's okay? Because I would pull your license from you. If this was a building trade, you know, you often hear about cowboys being these tradesmen. Actually, the opposite is true. Yes, sure, there are probably a few cowboys in that, but by and large, some builders that I've had the privilege to go around and learn some trades from are actually pretty decent. They do a thorough job, and they understand the safety about fiberglass. This stuff is incredibly good if it stays sealed in a wall. But if it's nipping through and getting in through gaps, because that's quite strong cold air coming through there. And again, you are using more gas. You are using more energy to heat your house. This radiator will go cold very quickly. That's going to cost you a lot of money. All that because of a little hole. And you're never going to get warm. Not in properties like this. So, yeah, rule of thumb, look for the little pieces of fiberglass. You'll find them. There's loads. There's loads. I mean, your general dust. That's part dust, part fiberglass. You can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. But you will find lots of it. A rule of thumb, I use sticky stuff in order to capture it. There's lots of it here. And again, I've already cleaned this, and there it is. There's more within this, and it's coming from this hole. Now, if it gets dark later, I'll show you. Not if it gets dark, when it gets dark, we'll put a light source near this hole, and then you'll film from a side angle, and you'll see loads and loads of orbs. They ain't ghosts. They'll make you a ghost if you keep breathing it. And again, this fiberglass, again, not a lot is known about it, that this gets into the lungs. And it can get into your bloodstream as well, especially when it's single pieces. And I'm pretty sure that that will spearhead a lot of cells. I don't think that's very good for you. And there you are. Psoriasis and asthma. Hay fever, you're going to feel it. And even healthy individuals, this ain't good for you. This is never good for you to be breathing this stuff. In a wall, great, nice, warm, whatever. At the end of the day, it's incredibly cheap, but that cheapness comes with responsibility. It must be handled with care. Hence, it's so bloody itchy. And yes, even with it being in here and it's constantly and how much air is coming through there, we often look at litres per hour when we look at a fish tank pump. And we often see how many litres of water it moves. How many litres of air do you think that's pumping out? And then how much per litre is there covered in fiberglass? Because whether it's coming from up and down, and whether it's coming from down to up, it's travelling against the fiberglass that's in the wall. Not all of this is connected. A large amount of it is. But when the air rubs past it, some of this becomes dislodged, especially if the air is thicker. When it does that, these particles get out into the air. They coat your towels. So when you clean yourself and then you go to dry yourself, it's in your towels. It gets on your toothbrush. It's not a good place for it to be. And again, look at that. It's just so much that comes off of this stuff. It's hard to see it because the light, it's all about the angle of the light. Lots of fiberglass. It's incredibly itchy. There's so much I can see already whizzing past, but again, I think if we had a darker background, you would see these orbs flying around.
I've seen some on the camera as well.
It's fiberglass.
Okay. Yeah.
And when you've got all of these holes and you go and add up the volume of all of these holes in the cavity, which are in loads of different areas, some are behind your sink. I got a lot under the bath panel that needs sorting. Most of the radiators either have the hole for the pipes to come through like this one, or they've got holes behind the radiator, because, you know, we just put a pot plant over it, you know. And that's dangerous. And then they want to come around and do inspections about, now probably I'm not allowed to take that off, but at the end of the day, I couldn't give a shit what you say, you know. Yeah, it's a good job I have done because I've had to sort these out. Some of the screws aren't even in correctly. I mean, it's not even biting into anything. Where did we see that on the last video or last saffron housing? Yeah, I've got to be in my bonnet about saffron housing because they're so dangerous and yet want to be inspecting your house, which they actually don't, for safety, and they don't even know the first thing about safety. So, you know, you want to come around the house and do safety. Got leaking gutters as well, which I've mentioned to them on numerous occasions. But again, unless you put it in writing, again, it's an inconvenience to your life, really, isn't it? But you can't do repairs yourself. You can't call anyone out to do repairs, because if you do, you're in breach of your tenancy and they'll evict you. But again, you've told them when you, a month after you've moved into yet another property, and then you get to see how the mold begins to increase. And again, they just don't give a shit. And then they will force people to go into these houses, and so will the council, because you'll put people in these houses, and none of you know safety. It's all about this, isn't it? And control. Write you a tenancy agreement and everything else, which you just don't know the first thing about safety at all, because you're playing around with dangerous products and your reputation for it, fucking out, asbestos to say the least. Lead in paint, fiberglass. You know, you can't get rid of this from outside, you know, on a hot summer's day. This stuff blows into the atmosphere and everyone's breathing it. And then we'll see a rise in cancers and a rise in psoriasis and a rise in skin complaints where you feel itchy. Is it an allergy or have you touched fiberglass? Is it an allergy or have you got a lot of fiberglass particles on you? There's a difference, right? Have you got asthma, or is it because there's fiberglass entering into your property constantly? You know, and if it is these reasons, you know, we'll go and stick a label on smoking is dangerous. Yeah, shouldn't you be pulling your finger out about these companies that are utilizing dangerous products? And again, it's pulling in all that moisture, that moist air. And again, How many litres? How damp is that air? It doesn't matter about how damp that air is. Remember, when the room gets hot, that area is going to be cold, and it's going to zap the molecules, and it's going to create a damp patch. That's interesting. That then starts creating mold. Again, we just got this runaway system going, and yet no one seems to want to do anything about it. So it's interesting to me. This is fascinating, and yeah, you know, you'll start to see the itching subside, especially in the hair. The psoriasis will disappear. It's not psoriasis, it's being misdiagnosed, and then we are giving out chemicals, which again, I suppose is keeping another corporation going, isn't it? Head and Shoulders. Have you got dandruff? Yeah, you've probably got a lot of gaps. And again, another way you can tell if you've got a lot of gaps, your extractor fans will be full of it, but you'll just look at it and say it's dust. Some of it is. No, a lot of it, when you look at it a little bit more closely, that is fiberglass. And there's a lot of it. That's quite a bit, enough to be concerned about, because again, it's going to cause respiratory conditions, it's going to cause lung conditions. If you get these foreign particles in the lungs, and what, we're throwing antibiotics at situations, is it because you are entering into a toxic shock syndrome? The lungs begin to fill with mucus so that you cough these particles up, and then we're giving antibiotics for it. Again, are we giving antibiotics because you're breathing in spores? Are we giving antibiotics because of these, and these? Are you going on and having asthma inhaler because you need it? Or is there an underlying issue going on because we don't know where you come from, what house you live in? And there should be a thorough check done, right? Because if not, what we're going to see eventually is not just immune suppressants, but we're also going to see a resistance to antibiotics. You know, because there's a big difference between the body trying to clean a particle from the lung versus a bacterial infection versus viral infection. And what we're classing as viral infection, is it viral? Or is the body doing what the body needs to do to clear particles out? And then how much of this keep clearing out causes a problem later on? And again, is it needless? Then how much of waiting lists have we got? Is this clumping and it can't remove it so much, and then yeah, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. What the hell is all of this stuff? And your hair gets caught up in your hair. It's incredible. You know, to find out why you're itching so much is to take samples of it and then have a look. Well, wait a minute. Wait a second, that's fiberglass. Wait, there's loads of fiberglass in here. Well, enough to warrant that you're going to start itching. And it's because your head and hair in your home is exposed to the environment. So itchiness, itchy, the hair definitely grabs hold of fiberglass, very much so, because it's quite greasy. This begins to build up. That's why after X amount of hours in the environment, you then start feeling scrabby on the head. It's not psoriasis. It's got nothing to do with that. You can go and buy all the products you want, but that's not getting rid of the problem. That's what, you wash your hair and then the itching stops. Day later, itching back. That is environmental factor. So, and again, if you've got skin conditions, urticaria, different things like that, where you suffer with hives anyway, you know that there's a big difference between fiberglass and hives. Like there's a big difference between stinging nettle and hives. And which one is it? Is it the body, or is it because of little things like this that are so overlooked? You know, I think good doctors will tell you that it could be your environment that is causing the issue. You know, and then when you get away, oh, I feel pretty good, and then you come back and it's like, oh, I feel a bit, my nose is a bit more blocked than usual, and again, all again aims towards respiratory issues, this. It's ludicrous, and we've got these groups in for safety, and they want to come and check their own buildings for safety. Well, let's do it properly. Let's move out all the furniture and let's pull everything apart, shall we, and have a look. So we've got condensation on trip switches. We have gas that could leak and then end up into the house, killing people. There is no gas alarm. We just put a bad smell in it. That's interesting. And we've got fiberglass. It's very interesting, isn't it? And you want to put vents on a ceiling, extractor fans. Why? To pull more volume of air through there. And again, are we making another damp house in the future? Because you're pulling through damp air. If it's damp outside, where's this air coming from? And now it's getting inside the cavity in an internal wall. And people will be like, well, I have no idea. Maybe it's the pipes were leaking at one time. No. It's because that part of the area of the wall got cold. And when the rest of the house gets hot, zap. Bit like a window, zap. It's going to sweat. Well, it's a bathroom, it's meant to. Yeah, but then what about in your other walls and this, and this, and you got fungus spreading. Oof. Oh dear. Learning your body. Interesting. So there you are. That's my little go-to on that. And trip switches with sweating. Yeah, this is just recipe for disaster, isn't it? Perpetual. Yeah, they're good at self-fulfilling prophecies, aren't they? That's what it is, a self-fulfilling prophecy of perpetual sickness that gets mistreated, misdiagnosed, and then what? You're eating a lot of tablets that you need at a time that you really rely on them and you're really going to need them, but because you've been eating them like Smarties because of an underlying issue in your house. That's interesting. So yeah, to have the heating on here, yeah, I'm not sure about that. It will cause things to get hot. Areas have cold spots. Like I say, notice this, I don't know what it needed pinning. It was almost like the corner of the house began to, foundation issue. And it began splitting, one under the window and one at the side of the house. It was quite big. What led me to it was the sweat mark up the wall. And I was like, man, that was baffling. Why the hell is there wet there? Why is that wet? Why is it sweating? The rest of the wall? No, just in this area here. And then when you start to feel around, oh, hang on a minute, it's a bit there as well. It was silk paint, so hard to see it, right? So then you go outside, because maybe there's something, and then when you see the crack there, you're like, oh, okay, and science teaches you about cans, drink cans, you know. But again, if you've got your extractor fan on, your heating on, and this bit of the wall is constantly experiencing coldness, so different to a window. If you've got moisture in the building, it's going to zap those molecules. But this is going to condensate. It's going to form condensation. You don't get it just on windows, you know, you get it on walls. And that's where it gets all sweaty. Plus with the gutter leaking. But again, how many times have I told them? And again, I can't physically make them do it, but at the same time, you know, here we go again. And now you understand how a property like the last place you were in, this one will end up like it. It's only a matter of time, and this is a new build, and I just don't care. You know, if these companies were tradesmen or humans, do you know what? They would have gone bust a long time ago. Why? Because people would stop. People would not ever go to them again. And you see, gone. But when it's an association like this, well, and then the council are only more too happy to, it must be a tenant problem. So, you know, you're going to lose tenants this way, or you're going to lose them because of illness. And could you imagine here in the UK that we have this type of policy at the moment? I'm sure changes will come. But I know they will. Do you know how much of a risk we are to the rest of the world? Because then we're giving antibiotics out. And any other nation that's doing this, or is worse at doing this, you're giving out antibiotics willy-nilly to treat an infection, which might actually be the environment. And then you get a bug, some bacteria, and you give some antibiotics, and it don't work because you've become tolerated. You know, you've become intolerant to them, or the bacteria's become resistant to it.
And then the rest of the world breaks down on its knees because of what? Because of this. You see how it affects everybody?
Yeah.
And that's why there are these safety protocols in place. Or should be. So yeah, who are the ones that walk around the building and pull things off like that and have a little look behind? I mean, if I can do it without any training and go, no, this is not going to be let. We've got a housing crisis. I don't care. Get it fixed. That's all you got to do is just fix it. And then stress test the house. How long does it take? Couple of days? And then after that, what happens next then? Well, people are living healthy and takes the burden off the NHS. Things like this often, to me, seem like this is just begging to crash the NHS or to make humans go extinct. And it seems like such a small thing. It doesn't seem significant enough, but... And again, that trip switch sweats when it gets hot. How many other houses have that whopping great big hole behind the trip switch that goes straight into the cavity and that cold, damp air from outside is coming in? And then the heat's on, it zaps, it sweats. As it sweats, if anyone goes to touch that, well, it's got an RCD on it. I won't give a shit. If that's full of moisture, it's going to take a lot more than a fucking RCD. Well, it's got a fuse in it. Yeah, defibrillators don't constantly give you energy. They zap you. It's enough to start your heart. 400 volts. And it's going to zap you. Not enough to stop your heart then. You know? So, RCD. No, protects the house. And if there's ever a gas leak, it's going to be coming into the... Oh, my word. Fucking Hitler would be impressed, wouldn't you think? Covert gassing, right? And again, it's an accident that waits to happen, and then what everybody says afterwards when something like that happens, it was so unprecedented. It was just a bunch of these, oh God, here's a new law, Terry's Law, right? You get, it's a load of bollocks, mate. The fact is, you haven't heard of anything about it, and it's like, Or is it because it has happened, but we kind of cover that? We should put a pot plant on it. We should make a massive hole in the wall and then stick a radiator over it. That'll be alright. We'll put a massive hole in the kitchen, right? And then we'll just stick some wood around it. And you're like, wait, what the fuck is all of this shit building up through these cracks here? What the hell is that? Why is it so cold? What is all this dust coming? Why are there orbs coming out of this? So I'll remove that fucking wooden box and there's a massive tear in the wall. Oh my God, I'm touching fucking fiberglass. I thought there was ghosts. I was getting ready to get my candles. I was going to say once. Okay? And I was, I was going to start fucking doing some hocus pocus shit. I was going to get Most Haunted to come round. Shit, I was going to call BuzzFeed Unsolved. Got some unsolved mysteries here, look. I think my house is haunted. Why is that? Take your camera and point it over there. Do you see them orbs? Fiberglass. Interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. And you mean to tell me that a wooden kitchen unit built around a crack in a wall was cheaper than plaster? You had to break a kitchen unit, saw it up, put it over to cover a hole. I don't get it. Sure as shit that would have been more, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so fucking weird. That is weird. I find it weird. Anyway, so maybe this can help people. You ever got any sort of itching or flaking scalp or anything like that? I'd go and integrity check your house if I were you. You feel a bit wheezy, a bit tight-chested, do you? Bit of a cough that won't go away? I'd go check your house. Just look around. Do you see any holes? Looks like dust. It is, but it's also fiberglass. And it's whizzing through. And then you want to feel. If you got your extractor fan on, because you're a good tenant, you don't want any damp, mean, you're drawing more than just air through that gap. You're also drawing moisture, and it's knackering the house, and it's going to be a mold situation. If you bought your house, it's very, very, very good idea. Go and check all of these things. And hopefully you're living in a house where someone actually took the time and effort to sell you a decent house. And probably consider moving the gas outside. It's a bit expensive, but... Or at very least, block the access point. If there is a trip switch on the wall outside of it, get an electrician to come out, take off the covering, the housing, and have a look. If there's a whopping great big hole there, do something about it. Because you're pulling in moisture. I'm willing to bet that that's not how they're supposed to be put on. For me personally, for that to be a safety inspection to be passed, it's supposed to have a housing to grab those wires, a wire housing, and the rest of it is not supposed to be like a fucking letterbox fucking hole with nothing in it and just loads of fucking cold air flooding through. And if there is, I'm willing to bet that there's a nice housing that you can get for those wires that come through to make them all nice and neat and bunched in one area. Shit me, you're probably never going to need to access in there anyway, unless you're putting something in. But even still, you could probably get an adjustable housing that goes in there. Have that bit blocked off. The air staying in the house, not moving in the wall, is probably better than it circulating through the house. You notice the walls are cold, not at the top. So this is coming from the bottom. So that's coming from somewhere down, because the wall's colder at the bottom. This is warm. So it's not sucking from down. So it's coming from, it's not coming from the loft down. No, I would say that air is coming from the down up, if that's even possible. But yeah, it's not like jam-packed in the cavity full of insulation. The insulation is on, I don't know, if it's brick behind here, I don't know. But it's a very thin amount that touches the back brick usually, I think. If there is brick in this one. Yeah, there you are. So, yeah, you'll have nice fun, but you'll be in a warm house. And you'll thank me when you get your year's energy bill in, and it's cheap. Why? Well, because one, your radiators are lukewarm as opposed to freezing cold. That's another sign. If your radiators are freezing cold to touch, there's something not right. It should warm up. If you leave a tub of water in the environment, that's another test you can do. You can also put a tub of water in the room and compare. If this one's warmed up, there's something blowing at this that is causing this to get incredibly cold to touch, freezing almost. So your boiler has to work 10 times harder, which you'll then have a boiler breakdown. And again, you probably don't want that. Well, your pipes are in the wall anyway, but you know. There you are, it's the fiberglass for me. So yeah, I spend the time and fill that one up. That's my second one. I got more to do because, you know, incredibly itchy and I can't figure out what it is. It's not the wash powder, it's fiberglass. I've been figuring it out back and back and back, but there you are. So again, dangerous substances not being looked after. And again, I wonder how many houses are doing this, and if it's quite a common thing, then why is there no safety? Sure as shit, this is the role of a council, isn't it?
Yeah.
You love fucking, unless you're taken backhanded, you're being bought out, which is a possibility, I suppose. But I thought you loved fucking demanding people, you know? Oh, solar panels, you know, you love getting in there and fucking people up. So why don't you get in there with the corporations, or are they like, here's $5,000, put it in your pocket and fuck off? Do you reckon it's a case of that?
Possible. Because it's all against green policy. All the heat is coming out of the houses through the
extractor
fan, yeah, which you do not need if you have properly sealed all the holes and everything.
You know, having a dehumidifier in the room is much better. And What's more, the water that it fills, it can drop it into your toilet system. So when you go to flush it, rather than it taking fresh water from the grid, which again is a saving precious resource.
Yeah.
So this would drop your water bill down. Okay, all right, it's going to be favouring your energy bill a little bit, but it's going to keep your room nice and dry. It's going to be good. It's going to take it an extra mile. An extractor fan won't do that. And then it's going to fill up the water chamber, and if you make it up to 20 litres or whatever, and then once it's finished its cycle, it discharges it after the next flush. It'll either go, oh, I've got water in the chamber too. Oh, okay, I'll drop this one first. We won't take it from the grid. Then next time, oh no, there's not enough water in the chamber. Okay, now we'll take it from the grid. You have a dry house. Never have fucking mold again. And again, yeah, you also get to, flush that stuff away. Slight green in colour. It's got a strange aroma to it. Somewhat nice and not really with some of these dehumidifiers. I don't mind it. But again, there are ways to do that. It goes through as it drips it can dispense a blue block in there or whatever. Just to make it blue and algae control or whatever. If it is algae. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not. It's just the way it is. Depends on what it's caught in the house. So yeah, if your fans are blocking, if your computer fans are filling up very quickly, if your Hoover is filling up incredibly fast, faster than normal, yeah, you've got fiberglass coming into your house. And it's quite a lot. It's an impressive amount, to be honest. Especially when you've removed it all and, yeah. Extractor fan on and you'll notice all of these orbs coming out. So again, using the light in the right way and a camera in darkness, you really begin to see a hell of a lot of orbs coming through they ain't spirits, unfortunately.
Yeah, just use your mobile phone in the darkness.
Yeah,
Turn on the torch and look.
So that works. Yeah, that definitely works. But you need a light source under. And then the camera needs to be slightly away, and it will pick up a little stream of orbs.
Yeah.
And remember, you're breathing that. Some of your nose hairs, yeah, getting it, but when you're breathing in through your mouth, right? That's when it gets you. It'll irritate your respiratory system. But yeah, again, it runs away because it has cycles. When you knock things, they cycle. You never know, because the doctors could probably be like, thank fuck for that. We were booming this much with people and patients, and after doing this, we had a lot less. We still got a large amount, but we got a lot less. Yeah, interesting. So there we are. And also, this cold air affects your mental health. Why? Well, because it's going for your money, and money is number one argument of couples, cause relationship breakdowns. 2, if you feel cold, again, this can make you ratty the same way heat can. And again, this will be bringing in heat in the summer as well. Lots of it. So if you've got your extractor fans on, sucking that air in. Ideally, fans, when they're on, your extractor fans, should be sounding like you've put your hand over a Hoover. If you've got an airtight house, it's not fully airtight because you've got vents. That's a great thing. And then you can just open the vent in the bathroom. There isn't one in here. So then that pulls the air in and takes the moisture out. That's how it should sound. And when you shut that, the fan should be able to read that. And then it should be able to shut off. Extractor fans are no good if you haven't got air coming into a property. It's a bit like blocking a Hoover pipe. Still bringing air, don't get me wrong, but just not from that point and not a lot. And then when you uncover that, so it'd be great to have a smart house, one that has I don't agree with extractor fans. I think they're environmentally dirty. They should be like any house that has one. It should drop them into an F rating, because in the winter you're bringing in moist air to combat moist air. Doesn't make any sense. It's much better to seal off the environment and allow the dehumidifier to run. Maybe initially whilst you're having the shower, yes, take away all of that steam if you're having hot showers. Yes, no, don't get me wrong. But then when you turn it off, that thing shuts up. And then the dehumidifier comes on. Then it begins to take care of all the watermarks and everything else. You think that would be a better way of doing it? You know, if the house is fully airtight, you'd hear the sinks bubbling. It's a piss take, but it'll sound like there's a load of bongs in the house. It would. Yeah, so there you are. And yeah, I'm going to leave this one here because I think that covers it pretty much. Pretty much.